Every morning when you rise, before the noise of the world comes crashing in, you must speak to your own soul with a clarity and seriousness that cannot be shaken. Do not whisper these words as though they are suggestions. Declare them as truths you must live by. Because every day you will be tempted to forget who you are, what you've been called to, and the weight and worth of the life you've been given. The first word is asterisk asterisk. Remember asterisk asterisk. Remember who you are, and more importantly, who you belong to. You were not placed on this earth by accident. You were crafted, shaped, and appointed for a purpose far greater than comfort or convenience. When you remember that, compromise loses its appeal, and excuses fall powerless at your feet. The second word is asterisk asterisk, rise asterisk asterisk. Rise above the laziness that tries to cling to you, above the fear that whispers lies, above the wounds of yesterday that want to chain you to the past. Rise, not because you feel strong, but because strength meets you on the way up, not while you remain lying down. The third word is asterisk asterisk, resist asterisk asterisk. Every day, a battle is waged for your mind, your heart, and your integrity. Resist the voices that tell you you're not enough. Resist the temptation to settle. Resist the pull of a world that wants to dull your fire, weaken your convictions, and quiet your passion. Stand firm even if you stand alone. The fourth word is asterisk asterisk, advance asterisk asterisk. Move forward, step into the responsibilities you've been avoiding. Take action on the things you know you ought to do. The world is changed by those who move, not by those who merely dream. Do not wait for courage. Walk, and courage will come. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Advance, and you will see provision meet obedience. The fifth word is asterisk asterisk, believe asterisk asterisk. Believe that your life has meaning. Believe that your efforts matter. Believe that discipline bears fruit even when the process feels slow. Believe that today, this very day, can be different, can be better, can be holy, if you choose to walk in truth and strength rather than in fear and passivity. Speak these words not as empty affirmations, but as a charge to your own soul. Say them until they carve themselves into your character. Say them until they reshape the way you walk into each day, and then live as though every breath carries weight, because it does. Begin each day by grounding yourself in truth and purpose, not as a poetic idea or a pleasant suggestion, but as the foundation upon which every moment of your life will stand or crumble. Morning is not merely a routine, it is a battleground. Before you ever step into the noise, the demands, the expectations, and the unseen pressures of the world, you must confront your own heart. You must speak to it with clarity, intention, and honesty, because if you do not shape your morning will shape you, often in ways you never intended. When you wake, you are not just opening your eyes, you are stepping into a day that will test you. It will test your integrity, your patience, your discipline, your courage, your love, your willingness to persevere. That is why the first moments of the day must not be wasted on distraction or thoughtless routine. You must root yourself deeply, so deeply that the winds you encounter later cannot tear you from your place. Grounding yourself in truth and purpose is the act of aligning your heart before the world attempts to misalign it. Truth is not based on feeling. It does not shift with your mood or your circumstances. It stands firm whether you feel strong or weak, confident or uncertain. Truth calls you to rise above your emotions, your excuses, your fears, and your tendencies to settle for less. It reminds you that you are created with intention, not accident. It confronts every lie that tries to whisper to you first thing in the morning, lies of inadequacy, of hopelessness, of insignificance. And unless you counter those lies with truth, they will seep into your thoughts and affect everything you do. Purpose is what gives direction to your day. Without purpose, you walk in circles. You react instead of lead. You drift instead of move. Purpose does not simply appear. It must be embraced, claimed, spoken, and lived. When you wake each morning, grounding yourself in purpose means reminding yourself that you have a mission, something to build, something to protect, something to pursue, something to overcome. Purpose sharpens your focus. It refuses to let you waste the day drifting from task to task without intention. It calls you to live the day with a seriousness, a weight, and a commitment that casual living will never produce. Grounding yourself in truth and purpose also means confronting the inner war before the outer war begins. Every one of us wakes up with conflicts, doubts, fears, insecurities, regrets, temptations, memories, unresolved questions. These things do not wait patiently for you to get ready. They attack first. They attack early. They attack subtly. If you are not grounded, you will be tossed between them all day long. But when you begin your morning by anchoring yourself, you take authority over your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. You must learn to speak truth to yourself, especially when you don't feel it. You must tell your heart what is right, what is real, what is unchanging. Truth does not depend on your opinion. It demands your obedience. It demands your attention. It demands that you shape your life around it, not the other way around. When you repeat truth in the morning, you are training your mind to recognize falsehood. You are building inner strength for the moments when life becomes loud, chaotic, and confusing. Grounding yourself in purpose means remembering the weight of your calling. Every morning, you must remind yourself that you are responsible for the direction your life takes. No one can do your work for you. No one can build your character for you. No one can carry out your mission for you. Purpose requires responsibility, and responsibility requires readiness. When you anchor yourself in purpose from the first moment of the day, you step into the world armed, not aimlessly wandering, not searching for meaning, but already rooted in it. This grounding also protects you from comparison. When you know your purpose, you stop chasing someone else's. You stop measuring your worth by others' achievements. You stop feeling threatened by their success or discouraged by their progress. Purpose gives you clarity about your path so you can walk it with confidence, even if it is slower, different, or more difficult than someone else's. The morning is the best time to remind yourself of this truth before the world tries to pull you into comparison and doubt. Anchoring yourself in truth and purpose also brings discipline into your day. Discipline is not born from feelings, it is born from commitment. When you begin with grounding, you renew your commitment to the person you are becoming. You stop acting according to convenience and start acting according to conviction. You stop waiting for motivation and instead choose action. Discipline becomes less of a challenge and more of a natural expression of who you are striving to be. Another reason grounding is so vital in the morning is because it recalibrates your desires. Throughout the day, you will be tempted to waste time, tempted to give up, tempted to take the easy road, tempted to be distracted, tempted to indulge in whatever numbs you from discomfort. But when your morning begins with an intentional reset of your desires, you are less likely to be controlled by unhealthy impulses. You remind yourself of what truly matters. You remind yourself that long-term growth is more valuable than short-term relief. You remind yourself that purpose demands sacrifice, and sacrifice is not something to fear but to embrace. Grounding yourself in truth also strengthens your identity. Many people go through life unsure of who they are, shaped constantly by the opinions of others. But when you anchor your identity first thing in the morning, you refuse to let the world define you. You refuse to let failure define you. You refuse to let fear define you. You choose instead to define yourself by truth. Truth about your worth, your potential, your responsibility, your calling. This gives you confidence, not the shallow kind built on compliments or accomplishments, but the deep kind built on conviction. When you begin your day grounded, you are less reactive. You are not easily shaken by negativity. You are not easily angered by inconvenience. You are not easily discouraged by obstacles. You respond instead of explode. You think instead of panic. You endure instead of quit. The world is full of people who react to everything and reflect on nothing. But grounding yourself in truth and purpose makes you the opposite. It makes you grounded, steady, and intentional. To ground yourself each morning is also an act of humility. It is acknowledging that you cannot walk the day in your own strength. It is admitting your need for clarity, wisdom, correction, and courage. Humility prepares you to grow. It prepares you to listen. It prepares you to learn. It prepares you to change. When your morning begins with humility, your day becomes more fruitful because a humble heart is teachable and a teachable heart is unstoppable. Grounding yourself in the morning is also an act of respect for your life, for your future, for your purpose. It shows that you value your time, your potential, and your calling too much to live casually or thoughtlessly. It shows that you understand the seriousness of your journey and refuse to treat it lightly. When you ground yourself, you demonstrate that your life deserves preparation, not improvisation. The truth is, no one drifts into greatness, no one drifts into strength, no one drifts into purpose. These things demand intention. And that intention begins the moment you open your eyes. You cannot afford to start your day weighed down by yesterday's failures or overwhelmed by tomorrow's uncertainties. Grounding yourself brings you back to center. It reminds you that no matter how many times you fell, you are still in the fight. It reminds you that progress is still possible. It reminds you that today is not yesterday, and it does not have to repeat the same patterns. Every morning is a fresh battle, but also a fresh opportunity, and grounding yourself in truth and purpose prepares you to face both. It prepares you to live with courage. It prepares you to live with discipline. It prepares you to live with focus. It prepares you to live with integrity. Without this grounding, you walk into the day exposed and unprepared. With it, you walk into the day fortified, intentional, and ready. To begin each day grounded in truth and purpose is to declare that you refuse to live by accident. It is to declare that your life is not random, your steps are not meaningless, and your efforts are not in vain. It is to declare that you are committed to living a life that demands something of you, something real, something deep, something powerful. And when this becomes your daily foundation, you do not merely survive your days. You shape them, you direct them, you use them, you transform them, and over time they transform you. Move through the day with intentional action and unwavering resolve, because drifting is the enemy of growth, and passivity is the silent thief of purpose. Every hour you live is shaping you, either strengthening your discipline or feeding your weakness. Hours are not neutral. Minutes are not harmless. They are forming you, carving you, molding you into something. And if you do not deliberately choose what you are becoming, the world will choose for you. That is why you cannot afford to wander through your day reacting to whatever comes. You must move with intention, with direction, and with a determination that does not bend under pressure or convenience. Intentional action is the opposite of living on autopilot. It means you refuse to allow your day to be dictated by urges, emotions, or distractions. Instead, you become the one who dictates, who directs, who determines what matters most. Intentionality is the discipline of deciding where your energy goes, deciding what deserves your attention, deciding what is worth your time and what is not. It is the understanding that you do not get a second chance at this day. Once it is spent, it is gone forever. Therefore, you must spend it wisely. To move with intention means stepping into tasks, conversations, and responsibilities with clarity and purpose. It means you do not simply get through the day, you invest in it. You take ownership of it, you shape it into something meaningful. An intentional person does not wait for motivation to strike. They act because action itself produces clarity, strength, and momentum. They don't ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" They ask, "Will this move me toward who I want to become?" The difference between those who flourish and those who stagnate is rarely talent or opportunity, is the consistent choice to act with purpose even when emotion would prefer comfort. Unwavering resolve, on the other hand, is the backbone of intention. It is what keeps you moving when everything in you wants to stop. It is the force that keeps you steady when discouragement whispers, when fatigue presses down, when challenges rise up, when setbacks try to convince you that your efforts are pointless. Resolve does not mean you never feel tired or uncertain. It means you refuse to let those feelings decide your direction. It is a commitment to finish what you start, even when the excitement fades and the work becomes difficult. To move through the day with unwavering resolve is to understand that perseverance is built in the small moments of resistance, the moments when you choose discipline over comfort, clarity over distraction, progress over procrastination. Every time you push through when you could have quit, you strengthen the muscle of resolve. Every time you keep going when excuses would have been easier, you reinforce the identity of someone who does not surrender to convenience. Intentional action demands awareness. You must be aware of what steals your time and weakens your focus. The truth is, many people lose hours to things that do not matter. Scrolling, drifting, worrying, hesitating, without realizing the cost. Intentional action forces you to confront these patterns and replace them with habits that build your character rather than erode it. It means you schedule your priorities instead of prioritizing whatever pops into your day. You choose the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. You work when you said you would work, rest when you said you would rest, and honor your commitments not because it is easy, but because it shapes you into someone trustworthy. Moving with intention also means setting boundaries. You cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can control what you allow into your mind and heart. You can decide what voices have authority, what environments influence you, and what habits shape your thinking. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They keep what is harmful out and allow what is helpful in. A person who moves through the day intentionally guards their mind against negativity, protects their time from wastefulness, and shields their purpose from anything that tries to dilute it. Unwavering resolve grows from a deep sense of why. When you know why you are doing something, you can endure far more than you ever imagined. But when your why is unclear, every obstacle feels heavier, every challenge feels more discouraging, and every setback seems like a sign to quit. Resolve is fueled by meaning, it is strengthened by vision, it is anchored by conviction. It is not enough to know what you are doing. You must know why you are doing it, and every morning you must remind yourself of that reason so that when the day tests you, you remain anchored. Moving with intention requires rejecting distraction. Distraction is subtle. It appears harmless, tiny interruptions, minor delays, small indulgences, but over time distraction compounds. Minutes turn into hours. Hours turn into days. Days turn into seasons of wasted potential. And in the end, It leaves you with the pain of realizing what you could have achieved if you had been more vigilant. To move with intention is to recognize the value of your time and to guard it fiercely. A person who wants to live with purpose cannot afford to give their attention to everything. They give it only to what aligns with their vision. Unwavering resolve also requires courage. Every meaningful path is filled with moments that require you to step into the uncomfortable, to speak when silence feels safer, to begin when fear demands hesitation, to continue when your strength feels insufficient. Resolve is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to be ruled by it. It is the understanding that courage is not a feeling, it is a choice, and the more often you choose courage, the more courageous you become. Intentional action includes responsibility. You must take responsibility for your day, your decisions, your responses, your habits. You cannot blame circumstances, people, or emotions for what you refuse to address. Responsibility is empowering because it gives you ownership of your growth. When you stop making excuses, you start making progress. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you start building the life you are capable of living. Responsibility removes the illusion of helplessness and replaces it with the truth that your life is shaped by the choices you make consistently, not the dreams you have occasionally. Unwavering resolve gives you endurance. It equips you to withstand fatigue, opposition, disappointment, and frustration without losing your direction. Resolve is what keeps you steady when the day feels heavier than expected. It is what allows you to push through the final hours when the initial enthusiasm has died out. It is the quiet force that tells you, stay the course, keep moving, finish this. Without resolve, even the most intentional plans collapse under pressure. With it, even the most difficult path becomes possible. To move through the day with intention and resolve is also to practice self-control. Not the kind that suppresses who you are, but the kind that expands who you are capable of becoming. Self-control is the ability to guide your own actions rather than being guided by impulse. It is the discipline of saying no to what distracts you and yes to what transforms you. It is the strength to stop when you should stop and continue when you should continue. A person with self-control is free, not controlled by emotion, not driven by impulse, not enslaved by habit. Intentional action requires clarity. You must know what matters most each day. Without clarity, you waste energy on tasks that do not move you forward. You become busy but not effective, active but not purposeful. Clarity forces you to define your priorities, and once your priorities are defined, decisions become simpler. You know where to say yes and where to say no. You know what deserves your focus and what does not. You know what moves you toward your purpose and what pulls you away from it. Unwavering resolve requires consistency. A single act of discipline is admirable, but a pattern of discipline is transformative. Anyone can be strong for a moment, but true strength is revealed in repetition. Showing up daily, doing what needs to be done repeatedly, choosing growth again and again. Consistency compounds. It turns small actions into significant results. It turns ordinary days into extraordinary progress. Resolve is the force that keeps your consistency alive. To move through the day with intention also means embracing discomfort. Growth rarely comes wrapped in convenience. It is often uncomfortable, stretching, challenging, and demanding. But discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It reveals your weaknesses, strengthens your discipline, and builds your capacity. Those who avoid discomfort remain trapped in cycles of stagnation. Those who embrace it rise into new levels of strength. Unwavering resolve means you do not allow setbacks to define you. Every meaningful journey includes moments of failure, discouragement, and disappointment. But resolve teaches you that failure is not final unless you decide to stop moving. It teaches you that setbacks are temporary, that discouragement is natural, and that perseverance is a choice. Resolve keeps you facing forward even when the past tries to pull you back. To live with intention and resolve is to understand that your day is not a series of random events, but a field in which you plant seeds. Every choice is a seed. Every action is a seed. Every moment of discipline is a seed. And the harvest of your life will reflect what you consistently plant. When you move with intention, you plant seeds of growth. When you move with resolve, you protect those seeds until they bear fruit. Intentionality transforms ordinary tasks into meaningful ones. Even the smallest actions, your tone in a conversation, the way you handle conflict, the quality you bring to your work become contributions to the person you are becoming. Resolve ensures that you maintain that quality even when no one is watching, even when recognition is absent, even when the work feels unnoticed. It is easy to act well when it is convenient. Resolve makes you act well when it is inconvenient. To move through the day with intentional action and unwavering resolve is to declare that you refuse to drift. You refuse to surrender to distraction. You refuse to be casual with your purpose. You choose instead to walk with clarity, to act with purpose, to persist with strength, to discipline your mind, to guard your heart, to build your life with conviction. It is the daily commitment to use this day fully, to invest in it wisely, and to live it with a seriousness that honors the potential within you.